Hi book besties, welcome back to another video. I know, I know, I've been a bit of a stranger when it comes to my book thoughts and my book content, but do not worry because I am back. I am slowly getting back to my momentum. So I have not done my March wrap up and April is about to be over, so I thought let me catch up quickly before the year just runs too fast and I can't catch up anymore. So today I'm going to take you through the books that I read in March and some of my thoughts about those books, and yeah, how that reading month went, what I pretty much rated the books. And yeah, stick around. I appreciate you guys for always being here even when I am a stranger. Thank you. I should have had my mic on. I'm gonna now think about that. Okay, it's fine. Let's continue. So, these are the two books that I read in March. I only managed to read two books, and that is credited to the fact that I'm part of two book clubs. So, I'm part of the Hosi Readers Book Club, and I'm also part of the SA Political Book Club. The fact that I managed to read these books is just an attestament to the fact that if you are trying to get into reading, just be part of a book club. Because without these book clubs and without the commitment to have to show up and read, I would not have read anything in March. Pretty much, right? So, yes, I managed to read these books thanks to my book clubs. I really, really like them. So, let's start with this book. So, this book is a political book. It's a non-fiction political book. It's about 306 pages. It was written by Pieter-Louis Myburgh, I think. That's how they say the name. And it's The Republic of Gupta, a story of the state capture. Now, if you are in South Africa, we once upon a time had a president called Jacob Zuma, and there was a big hoo-ha scandal around a family called the Guptas. And pretty much this book tries to give an account of why our state was captured by a family called the Guptas and their ties to different political figures. So you will even see the book has like pictures of the family, some of the brothers, Gupta brothers, and Zuma. My general thoughts on this book is that it was something that I could have used without reading. And maybe it's a biased opinion because I did live through that time. I was like an adult enough to understand what was happening at the time of this whole Zuma Gupta state capture situation. By the way, this book was written or published rather in 2017. So that is almost a decade ago. So I will have to give maybe a bit of grace in my thoughts about the book because it's been over a decade, but I did feel like I could have used with reading, or not reading rather, but watching a nice good documentary on this. And also maybe because there's a bias pre-information, pre-knowledge of this information. So by the time I read it, or at least in the context in which it was packaged in this book, it didn't give me anything new. I wasn't feeling like, oh my god, that happened, like they did that. So yeah, it felt also repetitive. I do not know what, I guess, the aim was in terms of the book. I guess it's a good thing that it was packaged into a book for future references for like the academics and people who would be interested to just go back in time and analyze people. So I guess it would be a good reference because a bulk of this book is also a lot of references to different articles, different publications. So how this book starts and how it gets us like rolling is the fact that the Guptas were, I guess, zoomed into the spotlight when they had this wedding and invited guests, and those guests landed through a plane at the Waterkloof Air Force Base. Now, that Air Force Base isn't like a public facility for any ordinary civilians to just land at, right? So the fact that that happened was a big of a an eye, like a side eye. So the Guptas somehow had access to, or had authorization to land their charters there and their planes there for this exclusive or this big Gupta wedding. And that is where the big investigation goes into, say, who authorized for this family to even have people landing there, and like, and why? Because they also had a lot of SAP security detail, they had the blue lights, they had the works, right? And the story kind of like unfolds from there, because now there's like trying to dig down and trying to investigate, like, what is the extent of these people's influence on, the presidency or the country or the politician and the decisions that have been made, because they were seen as like the hidden or the invisible hand behind some of the big country moves that were made by the president at the time, like the changing of ministers and the appointment of other ministers. So there was a lot that was going on, the tenders that they were getting, the government contracts. It was just a lot. But yeah, if you are interested in political books, this book, I guess, is a good read if you want to understand all that about the state capture. But for me, it was a okay book. I rated it like a 2 stars. And listen, I've read worse books than this, but I just felt like this book was just okay. It was there. But I guess it's a good academic reference or research reference for future, I guess, researchers and academics who are interested in understanding the state capture. I don't know how well it's positioned in terms of what it was trying to highlight. It did feel a bit agenda-ish, but yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. So that was the first book I read. The second book I read was part of the Hosi Readers Book Club. Now this is a fiction book. It is a book based on two twins, or it's about two twins. I think it is based in India. So we follow these two twins and their family, pretty much their entire nuclear family. Nuclear being the mother and the father, and a bit of extended family with the grandmothers and uncles. We just follow them through their childhood and a bit later into, I guess, the teenagehood and adulthood, just a bit. But we follow these twins and get to see how kids experience life through the lens of being kids, but also trying to position themselves to understand what adults are processing. And that can be a lot for kids. And the kind of things that we say and we speak to children at a very young age can mirror the kind of adults they turn out to be, or the kind of choices that they decide to make even as young kids. This book is very lyrical, it's very poetic, it's written as if I'm sitting down with the author and having a conversation about a real life story. And it is sad, it is emotional, it's heartbreaking, it's angering, it's all the emotions that you can think of, but it is written so well. It is a Booker Prize a winner, and it is about, the copy that I have, the edition of the copy I have, is about 339 pages, and this edition was published in 2017, but it looks like this was first published in 1997, so, and has been reprinted 51 times, so that's a lot. So it is a good book. She just needs your emotional and mental capacity. You need to be in a state where you can consume a bit of a heavy book, a bit of a sad book, and be willing to read through the poetic writing. The English here, or the grammar, or the way that it's set up, isn't trying to fit into any standard rules. It's writing a story and telling it as it makes sense. It's very descriptive at times. It can go a bit too long. It can feel a bit too long, but I guess that's the very nuance of following these kids and this journey of these twins, because we are getting the POVs of not only the twins but the different people around them, the mother, the uncle, the grandmother, and some of the other characters. So it is a, yeah, it's a heartbreaking book, but so brilliantly written. I initially gave this book 3.5 stars because I was like, it is too long, it is sad. But once I went through the book discussions with my book club, and I was just like thinking about this in retrospect and just thinking a bit deeply, I was like, you know what? This book can be a good 4 stars. It really can be a good 4 stars. So yeah, I love it. I'm gonna keep this copy on my bookshelf because I am trying to read a lot of the books that I have so that I can let go of whatever I don't want to keep on my bookshelf. But this one I'll definitely keep. It is the kind of book I can reread, or I will reread in the future. Esther and Rahel, 7-year-old twins, are growing up amidst vast of banana jam, mountains of peppercorns, and scenes of political turbulence in Kerala. When their beautiful young cousin Sophie arrives, their world is shaken irrevocably. An illicit liaison and tragedies, accidental and intentional, expose things that lack unsaid in a country drifting dangerously towards unrest. Lush, lyrical, and unnerving, The God of Small Things is a literal sensation and modern classic, suffused with sorrow but fueled by wit and magic. Yeah, that's a good description actually. So yeah, God of Small Things. I think if I had shared some of my thoughts immediately after I read the book, I would do more of an in-depth. So I'm gonna try to actually do more of those where after reading the book, I just take you through my thoughts, before I allow time and life to happen and kind of diffuse all of the thoughts that I had. But yeah, this was really, it was a heartbreaking book as well from a perspective of being a parent, and you know how, I guess, being a parent isn't, I would like to think, I'm not a parent yet, but you know, it comes across as though being a parent has this magical, I don't know, aura around it. Like you're supposed to just be this magical being who's perfect in all ways, like know what to do the right things. And to some extent, yes, that is true, but it doesn't kind of absolve you from, making mistakes and being a bad person sometimes. That you can be perceived as a bad person or not so great person by your own kids. And I think the weight that parents have to carry to always make the right choices and always do the right thing, not to show emotions of frustration and anger and all the bad things that they feel about parenthood itself is, yeah, it's very much interesting, and it does kind of, it kind of makes parenthood look like these beings who are faultless and all of this, when you can have faults, but I guess it's more about how you recover and do better. And if your own kids can understand that you are only just human and you can have so many wrongs and still do so many rights. But yeah, those were my bookish thoughts. Like I said, I gave this book 2 stars, and this was initially a 3.5, but I can see why it is a 4 stars. And yeah, these are my book reads for March, and I'll also see you guys my next wrap up for April. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys are rejoicing. I hope you guys are sharing your book thoughts with your loved ones. But above all, I hope you guys are reading a whole lot more.